All right, welcome back to the Command Your Brand Show. I'm your host, Josh Silvestro, brand ambassador of Command Your Brand. We help CEOs and founders to get their message out on top-rated podcasts. Grab our new book rated the #1 PR book on Amazon, bestpodcastbook.com. Reminder before we get into today's conversation to comment on and like this video and smash the subscribe button if you want to command your brand through the power of podcasting. All right, so today's episode is going to be a little bit different today. I kind of want to go over something with you. So on this show, we do a lot of interviews. We have guest speakers from all over the world, CEOs, founders, the whole gambit of things. So this one, I really want to dive into actually on our company, more of who we are, what we do. And a lot of the times, we kind of wonder, gosh, am I talking to somebody? Am I, talking to a robot? Am I just getting some spam on emails, And I get that too. I get that sometimes from different companies, with whether it be a tech company like Google or, someone like, some search engine that just all of a sudden just came out of nowhere, And today I actually want to start this new series in our Command Your Brand show, where we're going to be talking to actual different people in our company that's going to be going over their jobs, what they do, a little bit about themselves, and also why come to Command Your Brand? Why start here? Why all this? Because we know for us, we all have different jobs in this company, and we all love our jobs and we all love what we do. But there's obviously some connection we all have here in our passions and what we do. And we all have our own unique things that we love to talk about and love to do. And this is the reason why we all came to this company, was because there was a reason and a purpose and a drive that keeps us here and keeps us going in this company. So we're going to dive into that episode this week, just for this particular period of time. The first episode we're going to go through is, of course, me, because some people are like, hey, who's Josh? I don't know who this guy is. He's just some random person. So I'm going to go a little bit about myself, just so people kind of know who I am, what I do. So where do I start? So my name is Josh Silvestro. I'm from New Jersey, actually. I'm from the kind of central parts, like from North Bergen, kind of close to the city areas. That's kind of where I grew up and was raised. And I'm a pro gamer. I love gaming. I love reading. I love helping people. I mean, there's so many facets I'm going to go into. I guess we'll start with my history. So I was, of course, born in New Jersey, born and raised. Haven't really lived anywhere else, maybe aside from Florida, but that's pretty much it. And for me, I was an interesting kid, because I was one of those kids, that was really spoiled and just, wanted everything. And if I didn't get it, I was super angry about it. So, I really loved to just, for me at the time when I was like, gosh, 3, 4, 5, 6 years old, I was always like, I got to have what I want. And my parents would always go, no, you can't get that. And I would get so mad, so upset, because I couldn't get the thing that I wanted. And, as I grew up and kind of got older, I started to realize, oh, wow, there's actually more people in the world besides my parents that I can just, talk bad to, So I grew up, I went to school, till about 6 or 7. And I found myself, failing a lot in school. I couldn't get through school. I couldn't really get through the studies. I was up all night usually, or I was, just didn't get enough sleep that I really wanted to. And actually what was funny was, at that time period was actually like a kind of the breaking point for me. This is like the point where I either do the right thing or I go the wrong way, and I get kind of messed up in a lot of different ways. So I went to school in, North Bergen. I went to, a very decent school. And, when I was doing this, there was a point where I was just failing so much in school, where I must have been left back at least 2, 3, 4 grades of like just teaching, and just the teacher just decided, we can't teach you anymore. Like you're unteachable. There's no way we can teach you in this rate. So, the principal called my teacher and was like, all right, your son can't be taught. He's just can't be teachable. He's not really workable. He doesn't really do well with others. So we're going to prescribe to him Ritalin, because Ritalin was the thing that really wants to pump my energy and my focus, that was like the turning point, where it's like, I didn't really know what was going on, because I was about, a few years old. So, but my parents were like, no way, we're not doing that. So they pulled me out of school, and I was now from there on I was homeschooled by my own mother, who just really got me through school for the most part, and was just really persistent in getting me through. And as I grew up, I kind of saw, that they took charge and were responsible for a lot of things I didn't realize. Because when you're a kid, you don't really see a lot of these things. You just you're living there, you're eating the food, you play with the dogs, and you just, you don't really notice a lot of these things. And up until probably about 12 or 13, I kind of saw, wow, my mom was really doing a lot. My dad was doing a lot more, which, by the way, my stepmother and my father actually work with us. So you'll be seeing them on this show here. But anyway, so I really just got into a lot of that, and I just was like, wow, how do they do it? How do they put so much energy into these things that, like, literally I struggle with every day. Like, I can't even focus on these things. So my mother actually helped me out with a lot of, besides schooling. She actually taught me a lot of how to study. And, that was the one thing in school that they didn't teach, was how to actually learn, how to actually study, how to become, how to make the information that you learn in school or in college or anything like that useful in today's society. Like, I can't tell you how much things there's out there that's just, a lot of the information is just really useless. I'm sure you've experienced this when studying something, where everything you're reading, learning, writing is just, what's the worth of it? If it's something that's practiced 300 years ago, So my mother actually introduced me to applied scholastics, which is a program that teaches you how to study and how to learn and gain the knowledge of actually how to, assimilate information so you can actually use it and apply it for yourself and your activities, right? And at that point, I was like, wow, this is really interesting, and I really was getting the juice of how they are so successful. I look at my mom, and she's just an amazing person. She's just done so much in one life that you would believe. Like, she's just got like several college degrees. She ran away in the circus. She was what's what we call I don't know if anyone knows this, is called a train surfer, which is like someone, at least in California, I don't know if anywhere else does this. You can let me know down in the comments. But, people actually ride the trains for free. This was like back in the day where, people were like, that's how people got around, was they just hopped on and just hopped off, I know sometimes in the subways in New York City, they do this, but, I don't think they do that anymore. But anyway, so as I started learning and really started figuring out, and I got a little bit older, now I'm looking at 15, 16, I started, expanding my reach to people. And I really, got into like different organizations that really help them educate, actually study technology in schools. Cause, I became more successful studying with my mother than I ever did in any school that I did. So as I grew up, I was like, I really like this stuff. I really want to work with this stuff. And how can I use that? So I ended up signing up to become what's called a applied scholastics tutor. And actually, I decided to actually work with a lot of this company to actually help people in not just, other places, but like other, work areas. Like, I used to work in a lot of dentist office, I used to supervise and actually help people through those things, because it's a common thing that we have where people learn and they cannot apply. So, as I got to 16, 17, 18 years old, I started to become a tutor and actually teach people how to do this. And I actually went to different businesses and teaching them how to study, how do I apply the things I learned, and one of my first jobs I actually worked at was actually at a dentist office. And, it was very interesting because I never really cared much about teeth, but then you start clearing and understanding how teeth work and how the teeth kind of affects the body and other things. You're like, wow, man, I wish I knew about this sooner. So for the past several years, I actually started working in dentist office and actually started learning learning about for myself, how teeth actually work. And so I saw other people coming, we were hiring a lot of people, and I was helping with the hiring process. And I was actually teaching people how to study and also the jobs that they were going to work on, how they actually do it. So I actually helped develop a lot of technology in the dentist industry and how to actually make different checklists to set up, an office, how to break down an office, how to do all those things. So I did that for a couple of years. And, I think, toward 20, I'm going to say 20, gosh, I can't believe it's been this long, about 2017, I would say, or 2016, I say. This is where sort of things got, a little difficult, you can say. So at that point, this is where my mother got diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. And for me, this was a big hit for me because I was really like, at that point, I was like, oh my God, like, my mother and I didn't have a really good communication together, like in terms of schooling and other stuff, but I somehow got through it. And at some point I was just like, wow, I really want to thank you so much. I think this is probably 2016 or 17, around there, I think, and I really I just appreciate her so much more because she just knew so much and just had the ability to understand things. And, my father even too, he just knows so much. He's like a computer nerd, he's a computer programmer for like 30, 40 years. And he just knows a lot, but my mother, I sort of respected in terms of her teaching me. And when I just found out she had like stage 4 cancer, I was like, wow, I was really beaten down, because I was like, this one person that actually helped me and I didn't realize was helping me was now, going through something. And of course, there's points where like, oh, it was ups and downs, great, not so great, great again, not so great. And then at some point, I believe it's 2017 is where she finally passed away, and at that point I was like, I sort of stepped up. I was like, I feel like I really need to, take ownership. I really need to know who I am and how can I really just be more better? How can I be as good as her or even better? And that's why I strive for. I want to know as many things as I possibly can. I love to learn different things. I'm actually, one of the things I didn't mention, I'm actually a skater. I actually learned how to skate fairly recently. And I actually would love to surf too. That was kind of the reason why I started skating, was to learn how to surf. And, there's just different things that, I just really appreciate because she had so much skill. Like, I can't imagine being in the circus and like just juggling, and I'm just like, it's just really, really funny to me. So I strive for the next couple of years, between 2017 to about 2020, where I was like, oh, I'm learning all these different things. And then of course, COVID hits and you're like, crud, I'm like stuck now in a house. Okay, what can I do in a house? Well, what did mostly people do to kind of just pass the time was, play video games, watch movies. I don't know, worked, sort of worked. I don't know. And, just, I wanted to learn. That's kind of what I really was striving for, is just how can I learn? How can I be better? And, at some point I really got into computers and cell phones and technology because I found technology very, very interesting. I know obviously these days Google and other places are getting a lot of backlashes, on Apple especially, on just what's happening with AI and how AI works and revolving around that, and just, I was super interested in a lot of different things. And I really, really wanted to expand my reach, and I really, one of my funnest things is, as I got older, was I really love to talk to people. I really love to communicate because I find communication is the best way to handle anything, like, anything in marriages and relationships and any business thing you do. You have to have super high communication level with people because, things happen in your life that you really want to change, or you really want to just get that opportunity, because that opportunity may just slip away and it's gone now, So now I believe this is 2021. This is like where COVID sort of was building up and now is sort of dying in a way, kind of slowly slowing down. And, it was interesting is like, one other thing I did forget. So just before COVID, actually, I was what's called a health coordinator, a health event coordinator. So I actually was helping. One of the things that I did pre-COVID was I actually helped organize businesses in doing, what do we call it? I'd say health fairs, you can say, right? They actually, we provided a area of like, okay, like, each business that we went to, how can we help you get a dentist? How can we help you get a physical therapist? So I did a lot of events in 2019, just before COVID, and I promote a lot of health and wellness things to people. And that's how I kind of came into this. Was I really love to talk to people, really love to get into, you know, I like to communicate with one-on-one with the person, you know? So anyway, so catching up back to 2021 is, so I am actually now looking for, a new line of work. And I'm like, the work I was doing is COVID, and it's like, can't really do that because, COVID was like mask, gloves, and COVID tests. And I was like, I'm not really doing that, So I'm trying to find something more remote, more like what can I do from home but I can still get my message out and really communicate to the world what I do. And I love to help people, So anyways, I come across, on Facebook, and, actually one of my friends that I used to follow, I still follow. And I was like, roaming around, and I saw, oh, Command Your Brand. What's that? Oh, podcasting. That's interesting. And so I reached out to him. I was like, hey, like, I saw you were doing a lot of, a lot of things with podcasting. And I was like, yeah, we're actually looking for someone, you want to join us? I was like, okay. So, and so as I started, the first job I actually had with Command Your Brand was I was actually helping with business development. So I actually help deal with clients and, doing a lot of reach outs for people to really understand how, who these people are. At the time I didn't really get who the clients were, who people were reaching us to, And so now, fast forward a year, and now we're in this phase where, like, okay, we have a lot of people who really just want to know what podcasting is, how it works. How do I start my own podcast? How do I be a guest speaker? How do I do it myself? How can I do everything myself for now and just really get my own media out there? So, and what was interesting was because this is around the time where your own media was being built up. Like, it was just like becoming a thing, like almost like AI was just coming out. It's like, oh my God, like everyone's using AI. Everyone's using ChatGPT. Everyone's using Google AI, like this is kind of similar. Like, how can I reach to people about podcasting? How can I get people to know what podcasting is? So the CEO and I just decided, we're going to make part of the company a place where people can come and learn how we can educate people about podcasting, people who just have no idea what it is, what it consists of. How do I build my own podcast? How do I get on myself on podcasts? What's the exact formula we need to do that? And and so him and I worked together, Jeremy, to actually really build a system together to actually educate people on what we do and how it works, and we decided, we should do something, let's do a free service. Let's do something that people can just learn and just get to know who we are. So we actually built a masterclass to actually teach people, why podcasting in the first place? Why should people just hop on and just talk people other person's ear off on like what they do and promote themselves, right? Because in reality is, look what's outside. Like, TV is like, a very difficult place to get on. And what better way to get on is to the internet, which is of course free, and you can just put your stuff online and learn and just gain information, and that's one of my biggest things. One of my biggest passion is I love to help and educate people on materials and things that they want to know, and that's what I find very interesting about Command Your Brand is there's a lot of things about Command Your Brand that a lot of other people aren't doing. First, we're one of the top rated podcast booking agencies in the world. There isn't anyone like us who works in our same field of who we get on podcasts. And if you like, you can actually look on our website that actually can go over a lot of our testimonials that we do and how we've helped so many of them and all of their all the results that they've gotten from each of those podcasts. And I could tell you, just listening to so many of them and interviewing them myself is just, there's no better feeling than getting something that you've gotten the knowledge and you've given them so much information and so much help that they're grateful, that they thank you so much. Thank you for all your help. Thank you for what you've done. And that's what I really like about it. It's like you just really can help a person build their company and, get themselves to a point where they just know, and they just know that you've helped them and you've gotten to the point where, wow, I've reached to another level of who they are. I have a friend of mine who, was trying to figure out how do I get myself on on Google? How do I get myself known on Google and just like appear on Google? And, sure enough, we got him on like 24 shows and podcasting and just a whole gamut of different things. And sure enough, he's like one of the top results in like podcasting in that industry, And another cool story I'll share with you guys is I have another friend of mine who actually is someone I didn't work with him, but I've known him through mutual friends, and he's been around for a long time. And what's interesting is one of the coolest things that he's done is he's also an educator. He actually help young adults and children actually on how to clear up words they don't fully understand, but also educate them on grammar and why grammar is so important to the English language and other languages, And so him and I actually had a conversation. He's one of my first testimonials I ever did with this company. And, I actually read some of his books. He actually wrote, I'm going to say 100 books on like basically each definition of each word for the small common words. And he got people on he just got himself on podcasts, and we helped him with that. And he just, a lot of educators in India and like a lot of these poor countries just were able to get his hands on it. They were able to get their hands on it just to read the book and understand how language works. That's what I love. It's such a good feeling to help someone, to really give them an understanding and promote your message out, because podcasting is a really amazing way to go. And it's actually such a fun, and people just listen, just people, what's happening around the world. There's a lot of things going on, but it gets your attention off of what's going on around the world and just focus on what's happening and just educating yourself, because in all scopes of things, like we're all on the same world, we're on the same planet, and we are here to educate each other on how we're going to be successful and how we're actually going to do things right. Whether, you're an educator or anywhere in any company, there's always an educational step that you have to learn, and you practice and you do, because those things are needed in order to actually get things done, And I've learned from a lot of, different people. I'm sure you've seen like Gary Vee, for example, if you don't know him, or Tony Robbins. I'm sure he can educate you, or any other person. But, podcasting is a very great way to just learn things and learn different subjects, and you can just literally go on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or any of these places that have podcasts and just learn, and, there's other cool things about it, and, things that you can definitely discover. But I find podcasting in the educational space is so valuable that there's just nothing like it, especially on a free platform where things are just, they're just amazing, And I really hope you guys, if you guys can subscribe. If you're new to this channel, you can certainly subscribe and really, really dive into a lot of these guys who we're talking to, because obviously these are successful people that really want to know, and they really actually are interested in showing people how they became successful, And I'm sure at some point on the show, we're definitely going to invite more people on to do different types of segments and aspects. But I definitely want to leave this for you, so you guys knew who I was, and not just some random person. Hey, who took over the show? Who stole the show? So I really thank you guys for coming on to the show, and really appreciate you listening. And I know I talk a lot, but I really like to hear you guys. And if you guys like content like this, please let us know in any comments, any sections, anything that would, show us how much you love us and how much you respect what we do. And, if you're interested in getting on podcasts or getting our book, definitely get the link. And if you're interested in talking to me, because we do have a link. I'm usually the first person anyone talks to. I'm basically almost the face of Command Your Brand. So, if you want to talk to someone from Command Your Brand about getting on podcasts, getting on shows, anything like that, or even, you need help with booking a show, or even you just want to learn or educate yourself on podcasting, this is definitely something you should subscribe to, and you should book a call with me, and I will definitely have a nice, fun chat with you. And of course, I thank you for listening. And if you have any other questions, let me know. And I hope to see you guys soon, and I'll catch you on the next one. And just stay tuned. We're definitely going to have more interviews just like this, because I definitely want to hear from other people. And I'm sure you guys want to hear from other people in our company, who we are, what we do, and the back end of Command Your Brand. So please stick around. All right. Catch you later. Thanks.